Annabelle Sedano, you have a few more hours to get your ballots in for the California primary. We're tracking the big races for you. First up, the battle for the U.S. Senate seat held by the late Dianne Feinstein. Voters are deciding on an open Senate seat for the first time in decades. The top two finishers will advance to the general election in November. NBC4's Conan Nolan is here to break it all down for us. Conan, let's start off with Adam Schiff. He's well known, a polished politician, and of course leading the race between the other two Democrats. What can we expect from him tonight?
Well, he's hoping to end the race tonight, frankly. Remember, this is a fight to live to fight another day. You want to be in the top two. Adam Schiff made the calculation, and it's a wise one. It's part of the system that we have in California, the top two primary, regardless of party, that if he gets one of those two slots and a Republican, that is Steve Garvey, gets that slot, based on the voter registration in California, the overwhelming number of Democrats, he pretty much has locked up the November election. That has been his strategy. So I think, Adam Schiff, I think, has wanted to be a senator for a long time. He's somebody who has planned for this day. I think, and if you take a look at his campaign, it's been somewhat masterful in how they've played this. So I think he's looking forward, not just one or two. Either one works for him. He just wants Steve Garvey to be one of those two, because at that point he'll have he will cruise to an election in November.
Okay, I'm going to continue on with the Democrats, even though you're talking about Steve Garvey, because I want to mention Steve Garvey later on. But okay, Katie Porter, could anything change for her? She can become the second front runner.
Well, she's hoping. She thinks that she could give Adam Schiff a good run if there are two Democrats in the fall, which is one of the reasons why Adam Schiff is trying to keep that from happening. So yes, her problem though is that she polls very well with younger Democrats, more progressive Democrats, and it looks like this is a low turnout election, and in low turnout elections, that kind of voter doesn't show up. It's the older, fairly more conservative voters, even amongst Democrats, they're more moderate, and that's not the person that she appeals to. So she was hoping for a big turnout of Democrats today. It may happen, but if it doesn't happen, it's going to hurt her campaign. She's desperate not to be boxed out, but she could come in number third, and every poll has her pretty much in that position right now.
Barbara Lee, any surprises as to where she currently stands?
No, she's been polling in the single digits. She's 77 years old. I don't think her age helped her in this campaign. In Oakland, she's the only one from the Bay Area of the top four. We thought that would come to be her advantage in this race. She's been polling in single digits. Her problem has been money. It's been very difficult for her to raise money, and she just doesn't have the resource or the state name ID, that identification that Adam Schiff has. Remember, Adam Schiff has been on MSNBC on so many different times. He's a regular on that show. And, of course, his stance against Donald Trump has made him Donald Trump's number one what I should say, critic.
Right, the one he points at.
Right, in Washington. And so every time Donald Trump tweets against Adam Schiff, that helps his campaign. And Barbara Lee and Katie Porter, they simply just don't have that kind of notoriety.
Right, it's the mentioning of the names, right? And so now let's talk about Steve Garvey. He came up to bat and is now leading the Senate race. Do we think that Adam Schiff's strategy as far as these campaign ads that he was running by mentioning his name so often hurt him?
It was all by design. It's not just the campaign ads that you see on television. I know people, registered Republicans, who got a mailer in the mail from what looked like to be the Steve Garvey campaign. Say, I'm for a border wall. Donald Trump's a good, I voted for him twice, etc. It wasn't. It was from the Adam Schiff campaign. And you didn't know that unless you looked at the return address. And so it was all designed to prop him up, because you'd rather have, if you're in a deep blue Democratic state, you'd much rather have a Republican opponent in the fall than a Democratic opponent. And by the way, it'll save you money, because if Adam Schiff and Katie Porter face off in November, they're going to raise a lot of money, and a lot of that money won't go to other candidates and other campaigns. So, the strategy has worked for Adam Schiff, and it's helped Steve Garvey. I mean, Steve Garvey, God bless him, says, yeah, he may be trying to get me as an opponent in the fall, but watch out, because I can beat you in the fall. That is going to be a very tough act.
And let's talk about that. Could we see a big surprise? I mean, for the most part, we know that California is Democrat,
right,
but could we see Steve Garvey coming on top here?
It's anything is possible, but it's a math problem. The math is that we haven't had a senator from California with an R next to his name since 1988. We haven't had a Democrat, or a Republican, I should say, win California in the presidential race since George Bush and George Herbert Walker Bush. It just isn't in the math. When you overwhelm something, and California is overwhelming, every statewide officer is a Democrat. They have super majorities in the legislature. The congressional delegation is overwhelmingly Democratic. It would be very, very tough for a guy like Steve Garvey to beat Adam Schiff, but, you know, anything's possible.
Okay, and we know that you're going to have a lot more for us throughout the night.
Absolutely. We'll be here all night.
All righty.